Mimosas with Michael. Mimosas with Michael. Mimosas with Michael. Yay!
Okay, hey everybody, it's Michael Coulombe with Mimosas with Michael, and I'm inside today because it's raining here in the City of Angels, and because I have on a special horror guest, Charles Chudabala. I have my horror stuff here in the background. How are you, Charles?
I'm doing great, Michael. Thank you for having me. It's
My
perfect day outside. It's a little overcast, a little rainy, and it's great. What would I rather be doing than being on Mimosas with Michael Coulombe?
Who wouldn't? I mean, duh, who wouldn't want that? So we have to first talk about this because I know we've mentioned this a lot, but a lot of people have a hard time with your last name. It's really not that hard once you get it, but it's Chudabala. But I know a lot of people always call you either Chupacabra or Chewbacca, and I think that's really funny. I don't know why. I just find out it's like one of those endearing things that makes you who you are. Is that like no one can say your name, but they at least try. And it's like they make it harder than it really is.
Yeah, because look, you're right. Once you get used to it, it's easy. Like that's how it was for me.
Did you just learn how to say it recently too?
I learned how to say it, and I'm like, oh my god, it's exactly like it's spelled. Why am I making this so hard? It's a great way to be remembered, to be honest, because like in the indie horror community. I started to become known as oh, he's the one with that name that I can't pronounce, but he's doing stuff, or he's and I'm like, dude, as long as you remember mine, like me, you know what I mean, and my last name has a thing, but I enjoy Chupacabra, I enjoy Chewbacca, I love letting people try it, try it out, and go with what fits for you. It's fine as long as you call me.
Yeah. That's all you got to do is just call me. I like your little kitchen set, by the way. Did you just build that for this podcast? I love it. That's so nice.
Yeah, I couldn't come on Mimosas without a good backdrop. I might actually be using this for a YouTube setup at some point.
I mean, you're lucky. I just have these brown walls. Like I said, I was shooting outside. We have this like little patio here in the house, but it's like, because it's rainy and I didn't want to get my bum wet. I didn't want to sit outside. But I kind of sit here when I do my vlogging. So that's kind of why.
Yeah. You look comfy. That sweater and you just look comfy.
Well, when it's kind of cold. I do have my window open, but I love this weather. I'm probably going to take a walk later and just walk around and enjoy the day.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we do have to mention two things that we have to talk about on the podcast, since this still is a podcast and I'm interviewing you, even though we're talking like friends. You and I have two projects in common. We have The Central Authority, and we have my favorite horror movie.
Yes.
Charles, we have two projects in common. Isn't that crazy?
We went from not having many or any projects in common to 2020, 19-ish, the end of 2019, to 2020, having these projects in common, and I suspect a lot more, because we can make that happen. But
I mean, totally.
One of the highlights of my 2019 was my favorite horror movie, which meant so much to me. And for those of you watching who don't know what this is, it's a book. It's actually 3 different books, and it started off as my favorite horror movie, where horror community people. These are actors, filmmakers, authors, screenwriters, or just people,
icons,
of horror icons. And they each get a chapter in this book, and they talk about their favorite horror movie and how it may have impacted their life, or maybe there's a story attached, or maybe they just like it because it inspired them, to really like blood and gore, or whatever the case may be. Well, they made 3 books, and Michael and I are in the 3rd book, which is...
Oh, you knew that?
Yes!
I forgot. I forgot, but we were sitting next to each other at the signing table, so I do remember that. You, me, and
We are the
Najara.
third book, and it's called Scream Warriors.
Yeah, and I'll put the link here at the bottom. And what was the movie you wrote about? I forgot. Was it Exorcist?
No, Misery.
Yes, Misery. That's such a good movie. Mine was Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh gosh, which one? Just the original?
So the original one, yeah, because when I was a kid, it was one of the first horror movies that I saw that like didn't scare me. That I was just like, oh my god, I love it, and I watched it all the time. I was obsessed with Freddy, and I loved all the movies. I thought they were great. It's really what got me into horror. Besides my cousin, who was obsessed with horror. And it's really funny because right around the time that they asked me to be in the book, and I knew I was going to write that movie, I had just met Robert Englund for the first time at Texas Primary Weekend last year. And he just happened to be at the bar, and we both just happened to like white wine. And he was surrounded by all these people, and I was sitting there. And then we eventually were sitting next to each other, and I told him that I was a script supervisor on the film sets. And he's like, oh my God, I love script supervisors. And for like 20 minutes, it was just he and I had his undivided attention, and we just talked about everything. And he's charming and funny and hysterical and smart, and it's just amazing. So I'm like, God, now I love this even more. So it was such a nice way to like. Plus, I had this awesome picture, which I normally he charges, but we were just there, so I took a picture, and that was a picture I used for the book. I was like, it couldn't have worked out any better if I tried.
Isn't that an amazing thing when the people that you admire don't disappoint? Yeah, and they're even better than you can imagine.
Yes, because I think we can both understand that you and I have probably met celebrities that have kind of disappointed us. This is not that podcast, but we should definitely do that one day.
I'm glad we're on the same page. Yeah.
Someday. No, I always tell my manager Matt. I go, one of these days when I'm more famous, I'm gonna have some stories to tell. But they can't come out till after I'm dead because I don't want to make enemies.
Yeah. Well, we're both authors now, so.
Crazy, right?
Next step is a memoir. Like now, we've got to hurry, or the audience won't be captive anymore. This is sorry. We are all, in quarantine. There's a lot of books that we can read right now. A lot of ways to keep ourselves busy. Why not write a book right now? Do whatever you want right now, everybody. Do whatever.
Because I already wrote 3 screenplays, and I'm writing a web series. I've already got too much going on.
Oh, congratulations, man! You're always keeping busy. I love that about you.
It's exhausting. Well, that's why I'm single. That's what I tell people. So I'm too busy. Just kidding. Well, I'm lucky because I write with with Brantley, who you met at the book signing. So he and I write a lot together. So that helps out too. That's kind of nice. It's not like I'm stuck doing it by myself. But I am doing this horror web series, and so that's what keeping me busy. But what's interesting is in 2020 I started acting. I mean, I don't say started. I mean, I did one project, and I'm actually probably going to do a quick couple of scenes in this horror web series I've been writing, just because I was like, damn it, I want to do more. This sounds like fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we just did The Central Authority.
We did. Completely 100% socially distanced film.
Yeah.
And want everyone to go follow it right now. It's Instagram at _Central_Authority. Twitter is The Central Auth, and Facebook is The Central Authority, and
they'll all be in the links below.
Can I go into the synopsis and just talk about it?
Bro, this is your episode. This is a Charles Chudabala half hour.
Okay, so look, the pandemic hits, and I'm talking about like the real world right now. Okay, we get this pandemic, right? And
I feel like the people will understand that because they're living through it as well.
We're all living through it, right? And so I think there's a lot of uncertainty of what's going to happen in the industry, and and suddenly I get offered a part in this film, and they talk about we're going to do this film socially distanced in quarantine, and I immediately just said yes, because without creating, my soul will die. And then also I've been wanting to work with Kristen West forever. She directed the film along with Armin Nassari, and this film is just incredibly groundbreaking. And she described it to me. I said, yes, I want to be a part of this. I didn't know that Michael Colomb I didn't know that you were in this film. And
it was a last minute. I was a last minute addition because I wasn't going to do it. Then my manager and I were talking. He's like, well, they're still looking for actors. And I was like, I guess I'll do it. And then I ended up getting my 2 roommates in it as well.
That's awesome. Yes, I'm glad that you said yes. I'm glad
it was a lot of fun.
Yes. So,
This is a lot of fun.
film is incredibly groundbreaking. It is completely socially distanced, and it takes place in a dystopian future where a pandemic has caused the collapse of governments around the world, and therefore this central authority rises up to control and bring law and order. And because everyone is at home, this is our form of entertainment. We're all streaming. So the central authority also provides an opportunity by creating this channel for citizens to upload their content, because content is key. And if your channel does really well, they will give you a higher place in line for goods and services, which are in short supply. They rate you daily on your show. You do well, you get rewarded. If your channel declines and you don't abide by their guidelines, they will cancel your show and your life. And I am one of several channels chosen to be part of the Central Authority's plan for, I don't know, entertainment. Michael Colomb, he has his own channel on this.
No, I was a guest on someone's channel.
This is so secret. Well, see, there it is. This is so top secret, this project, that I don't even know, other than my own storyline, what the other people's cast member storylines are. But
yeah, I'm not that familiar with yours either. They didn't tell us.
Which is great. I don't want to know, to be honest.
No.
I like being surprised. I don't like, being like, I don't like things being spoiled for me. I get so offended when people spoil it for me, or they'll tell me, hey, you really got to watch this show. Look, I'm not spoiling anything by saying this, because everybody knows that so-and-so dies. So I'm like, no, I didn't know.
You're like, well, you know who didn't know? This guy until right now.
Yeah.
Well, I do know. So I do know kind of what both of my roommates, their show is just because we all live here. And I could hear them doing their show. But other than that, I don't really, I don't know the details. I just know, what their characters are. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be it's definitely an interesting idea. And it's going to be very interesting to see it all put together. So I'm really excited about that. And then we'll have a big social distance rap party.
Over 40 cast members. And literally internationally. We've got some actors from LA interacting with their scene partners in London. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was my roommate.
Oh.
My roommate, Lachelle, did it. Yeah, she was the...
Thank you for the spoiler.
Oh, I don't know anything other than that. I know nothing other than that. I just know that they did a scene together.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And I'm going to have that girl on my podcast. Don't get crazy. But you have a podcast too. What is your podcast?
It's called the Uncaged Mindset Podcast, and I interview people, extraordinary people like yourself, who have broken free from, something that they've broken free from, and they have some wisdom stories to tell about literally living their best life against what anybody else says, right?
I walked off my job at the age of 30 to follow my career, right? How am I not on your show?
We have a lot in common.
Oh my God. I literally was at the age of 30. I was like, screw this. I'm out of here. Yeah, my story is one for the ages.
Hey, you got to come on my podcast and tell it, And there's valuable nuggets in your story that people can not only learn from, because isn't it always like, gosh, if I knew then what I knew now, the things that I would say, I'm like, well, then say it. Actually tell everyone. Because
I do all the time. I do all the time. I mean, I am guests on podcasts a lot. I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, I'd love to hear your story. Like, you walked off your job at the age of 30, and it's like, yeah, it's like I tried so long to follow my dream and I didn't know. And then at 30, I was like, it's either now or never. And I walked in to my human resource, which I won't save. I'll save all the good stuff for when I'm on your show. But yeah, I just walked to the age of 30. I was like, I'm out of here. And they're like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to go make movies. And the woman's like, you are? And I was like, yeah. And I go, even if I have to live in my car, Jewel did it and she was fine. So
I was literally just talking about Jewel last night.
See, look at that.
I was a guest on another podcast show, and I literally talked about how Jewel was living in her car.
Tell you, symbiotic right here. This is symbiotic.
Symbiotic?
Symbiotic, yeah. It means we're in tune.
Well,
you and I are hashtag twinning right now. Can I say that? Well, I can use this as a hashtag now.
Yeah. It's everything is more legitimate with a hashtag in front of it.
I mean, it kind of is, I think.
Now we're really twitting.
Like if you don't, like if you don't even put a hashtag in front of it, is it even a word anymore?
Yeah, did it even happen?
I know.
Did the hashtag tree really fall?
Exactly. It's like, that old saying, it's like picture didn't happen. It's like hashtag or didn't happen.
And
that's what we're going to start saying that.
I remember how we met, but do you remember how we met?
In person? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember.
Oh, in person.
Well, because some people I meet, I meet them through the show just over on.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah, because I don't remember.
Okay, it was Son of Monsterpalooza. And it was a dinner. It was like an after party, kind of after maybe the second night of Saturday night.
Okay.
Aaron Mento, director Aaron Mento of Ugly Sweater Party, which
I
I'm
know.
also in.
We
were actually casting for the film. And we went to the after party of Son of Monsterpalooza so that we can do some networking, meet up with some potential actors and actresses who he would then set up future meetings with. And I had already told him, like, yeah, we got to meet up with you've got to meet Tiffany Brookfest, is what I told him. And
where was this party at, or this networking thing?
This was at, the hotel had another wing of the hotel that was like some bar, some lounge, and you were there. You were there at our table. It was us. It was Marv Blavell, Kevin Caliber, Alyssa Dowling ended up showing up at one point. And we were all at this long table. And that was the first time I'd ever met you. Yeah.
So many years. Wow, have I known you that long?
This was probably 2015.
Okay, so about 5 years ago. Wow, I didn't realize I knew you that long.
Yes.
That does sound right, though. I mean.
And then we would run into each other ever since. You know what's crazy is, like, you meet somebody that you've never met before. You're like that you've never seen or talked to. And then suddenly once you meet them, then you start seeing them everywhere. I'm like, because I did not know you before that. And then all of a sudden we would matriculate together at either Days of the Dead. And the community really is small. It really
is like ridiculous small. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and I try to go to as many horror events as I can. The only one I really go to out of town is Texas Frightmare Weekend in Dallas, Texas. I went a couple years ago with my cousin, and by far one of the best times of my life. And I was so devastated I couldn't go this year. It was going to be tough for me to go anyways because I was supposed to be in Europe in April with my dad for his birthday, and then I was supposed to fly back, and then literally the next day fly to Dallas, Texas, for Texas Frightmare Weekend. Yeah. Then of course COVID-19 and it stopped everything. So and it got pushed back to September. So I definitely want to go. But it's such an amazing event, and I've gone now the last 2 years. Just have been my third year, and I tell people because it's you kind of go to the hotel and it's down below in like the conference rooms, but people also kind of mingle out in the lobby and outside and the bar area. And I pretty much go to the event for a couple hours and I just stay at the bar and I meet everybody. And it's like, I tell people it's like being at summer camp with monsters because I mean, that's how I met. That's why I mean, of course, Felissa Rose is there, all the time. And we have drinks and it's just like crazy how like, I just see everybody I already know anyway. So it's like, I just feel like I'm at summer camp, but with monsters.
Oh man, I love that convention life, but it's all of us getting to just play, which we do. This is the life that we signed up for, which we left something behind to then pursue. But the convention is completely a different sandbox. It's the sandbox, and where this is gonna sound kind of crazy, but it's almost like its own pride. You know what I mean? Where you are accepted for who you are, no matter what. You know what I mean? Like that Nightmare on Elm Street lunchbox that you wish you could walk around with. People are like, "Oh my God, that's so cool!" It's like, you know what I mean? And you are just allowed to be in the community, share your joy and love and passion about this work that we love so much, and it's a celebration. Now, not all conventions are made equally.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. Yeah. But I mean, overall, keeping conventions to the side. I mean, the culture of horror is very encompassing in a sense.
Yeah.
That's what my opinion is like. And it is very small, so you kind of have to like. I mean, I wouldn't anyways, but you just gotta stay on good terms because it's like such a small. I mean, the film industry is small, so the horror film industry is even smaller.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a good time for us right now. I think we've got a real opportunity to like rise again. Not that like
zombies, just like zombies. Am I wrong?
Exactly.
Or Jesus rose again.
Hey, Michael, have you ever played a zombie?
No, but I did. The very first movie I ever acted in, I got torn apart by zombies. It was amazing.
Which movie was that? I want to see it.
It's called, what is it called? Edges of Darkness. It was directed by Jason Horton. I don't know if you know Jason Horton.
I love Jason.
Yeah, it was one of his first movies. It was literally the first feature film I ever script revised, and they needed somebody to be torn by zombies, and I did it. And they brought me in. They did it as I was script revising. They did this like long shot, this beautiful shot of like this long crane coming down, and then like as soon as the crane landed on the ground, I fell in the frame, screamed in front of the camera, and got pulled off. Right? It was amazing. But then like. They went into post-production and they were editing it and they're like, oh, we got to see more of Michael being torn apart. So they actually did some reshoots and they brought me back in as an actor, which is the first time it ever happened because I was always script revising. But I was working on night shoots and I remember I had to go from a set that I was working on as a script reviser. They let me sleep they had a couch in like the main room and I slept on there for a couple hours. They brought me out, covered me, and this was the first movie I ever did with Gage Munster. That was when I first met him. Gage. Do you know Gage?
I don't know Gage.
Oh, I love Gage. He was one of the first people on Face Off, if I remember correctly.
Oh, wait, yes, I worked with Gage.
I just want you guys to know, for people who are listening to the podcast, I just rolled my eyes at you.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was drawing a blank. Yes, I love Gage. Yes, he's also just an incredible human being.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart. And we knew each other for years. And I have some good stories of him that I think are amazing. But so they brought me in, they put this chest plate, and then they had like 20 people like tear at me. And just so you understand, it actually felt like I was being torn apart. I had somebody I was laying on the ground and I had 20 people around me and I had somebody like, I had a knee on my neck. Someone was like sitting on my legs. They were like punching at me because they're tearing, like I had this fake chest plate on with like ground beef in it. And they were tearing and all. I was just like, oh my God. When they yelled cut, I thought for sure it hurt so bad. I had 20 people just tearing at me. I was like, shit, I know what it's like to feel, it actually does hurt. But it was fun. That was the first time I was like, oh, acting is kind of fun. Kind of dangerous in a lot of ways, but it was fun. Yeah. So Edges of Darkness, that was my very first time. So I've never played a zombie, but I have been eaten by them. Does that count?
Yeah, you feel alive both ways, right?
Yeah, look, I've been acting and performing since I was 5, so I never wanted to be an actor, but I really followed up my love of like writing, and that kind of developed into my love of directing. But I did recently have decided I wanted to get back into, because most people don't know this, but I grew up being an actor and a singer, and I haven't done it in years, and it's kind of something I wanted to get back into. And I figure, well, I'm 45, I guess I might as well do it now.
You can do whatever you want, anything. And being
That's
a creative, right. being a creative, you like there's so many different modalities. You could just create, you could write, you could sing. As long as it all feeds your soul, and it's not just one thing. And the idea that we have to also subscribe to just one thing because you're good at that one thing doesn't mean that you can't also be passionate about other things and dabble into things. It's not about doing it. That's the beautiful thing about art. It's not about being perfect at it. It's about just doing it. Because doing the work that moves you. And let me tell you who has a say-so. Nobody but you. You do it. you
oh
do
my
you.
Goodness, over here.
Yeah.
You crazy. So if you could play, because you've done a lot of movies, but if you could play a particular character, what would you play? Because I feel like you want to play a zombie?
No, a psychic.
Oh, a psychic.
Yeah.
Oh, you've never played a psychic?
That was no brainer. I've always wanted to. Okay, so you know that trope, like the Lin Shaye trope, or the Buffy the Vampire Giles trope, like the one that comes in with this inherent knowledge about how to defeat the dark thing. Yeah. What was her name? Zelda, that from Poltergeist.
Zelda Rubinstein.
Yes.
Oh,
like I've always wanted, but obviously
that's perfect because you guys are like the same size. Sorry, that was me. I'm just kidding. I love the look you gave me. That was perfect.
You're not wrong.
I know.
You're not wrong.
But I'm not right either. I'm sorry. That was wrong.
I want to. Yeah, I've never ever played that role, and I think I've never played that role. I don't know what you call that. I just said psychic, but I could have psychic ability. What do they call that trope? The knowledgeable, ominous bearer of bad news. You're
doing a good job regardless.
What
is it? No, I mean, you're doing a good job describing it. I'm not really sure I know the trope. I wouldn't know what to call it. But it's sort of like it's kind of like the omniscient, sort of like all-knowing.
Yeah.
Sort of like, yeah. It's like the person that kind of comes in and guides you.
The second act, right. And they kind of, and they don't really give you hope either.
Yeah. They're like, you will die.
Worse. Yeah.
Like you have a 98% chance of dying, but here's how you have to do it. You're like, great. In real life, I'd be like, 98, fuck this shit, I'm staying home. But in a movie, that's enough to get you on that trip, you know?
Well, I have actually, been to a medium before in my life.
I have too.
Oh my God, I've never told this story on a podcast ever. And she was the real deal. Like I didn't tell her a damn thing. And she closed her eyes. And she told me things about myself. She communicated with my grandmother who had passed away. And she knew that we were having a birthday party like that day to celebrate my young cousin who's got a very, very strong psychic ability. And like she was describing the party, what was happening. Like I didn't tell this woman a damn thing, you know? And so I don't know. Do you believe? I believe.
Yeah, I believe. I've been to.
I believe that there are people that are not they're not the real deal. You know what I mean? But then I really do believe that there are people that the real deal.
I just have seen so many things in my life that I can't explain. So I'm pretty open to a lot. I was just saying this on another show that I grew up in a haunted house. So I mean, I've definitely seen and heard things that I can't explain.
You did? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Michael. Oh my God.
I did. It was in Orange County. I mean, it was creepy. We used to hear. It was terrifying. I remember as a kid, and it haunts me to this day that even 40 years later, I have a hard time sleeping. Like I'm terrified of the dark. I still sleep on with like I have to have some sort of like white noisy type. Like I have to have white noise. I have to have a small light or something. Yeah, to this day, and I can never sleep with like my back facing the door. I always have to sleep with my back facing the wall because I feel so vulnerable.
Really?
Yeah. To this day, it's not. Yeah, because the room. Because when I was a kid, we used to go camping once a month for the whole weekend. My family would camp, and while we were gone, our neighbors would tell us that our lights would go on and off while we were gone. Like they would just flicker like someone was home, even though someone wasn't.
Oh, no.
And after we moved out, the people that moved in was telling us. But my dad. So for years, my parents would deny it. And then when I was 30 years old, we were in New York with my dad, and I was just me and my dad it was just me and my dad. And we were visiting my family, and we were outside like having drinks with his family, like, you know, having like a bonfire. And he goes, I think the house you guys grew in was haunted. And I was like, I told you for years, because I used to hear voices. I used to see things. Man, it's haunted me to this day. But it's probably why I'm so good at scaring people, because I just draw from legit fear that I've had my whole life. So there you go.
Woo!
Yeah. I have seen some things that I cannot explain. I have been told this. This is actually something I don't mention often. But I had somebody stop me one time and tell me this, that they said that I'm visited by my brother. So, and I have to ask my sister this. So I don't know if you know this, but I have a twin sister.
I did not know this. I'm learning so much about it.
So Michael Coulomb is a twin. I have my sister. So we're Michael and Michelle. How cute is that? What most people don't know is we're actually triplets. My mother miscarried one of the babies while she was pregnant. So she gave birth to 2 babies, 3 placentas. And so sometimes people tell me that the other baby sometimes is kind of like with me, probably in a sense. And they said it's my brother. That's what they said. So the interesting thing is this was back in 1975, and my mother really couldn't afford a lot of medical bills back then. You know, it was a different time. and we never found out if it was, so because my sister and I are fraternal, because we're boy and girl, but we never found out if it was like another fraternal twin. We don't know if one of us split and was like, we don't know. It's just one of those things. So in my mind, I always think that I have an identical twin that was ever born. She probably thinks the same thing about her. So I don't know. We never really talk about it.
Wow.
So there's a movie there.
You're talking about it today. Yeah, thank you for that.
Oh, my pleasure. I mean, I told people, but it's just I never think about it. It's just not.
Was there a name ever picked out?
No, because my parents didn't know they were having twins. I was surprised. Yeah, she knew she was having a baby. My sister was born first. My grandmother told the story where she ran out when my sister was born, she ran out into the waiting room to tell everybody, it's a girl. And then they went back in, and by that time I had been born. And she's like, what? There's another one? So I was like the surprise baby. So, yeah. But no, there's no name. So if you want to give him a name, I'll take it.
Hey, I like to say if I feel some good presence around me, it helps me. I believe that it's good and it's there, and I choose to believe that the good presence is a good presence, and like protecting you, watching over you, making sure things align. Because there's a lot of things in life that like you can't explain. It's like good things too. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God.
Of course. Yeah.
I ended up booking this role, right? But it was because I ended up having lunch with this person that ended up knowing the casting director that I did not know. And then suddenly I'm in the room with this casting director who I had never known, auditioning for, who is like years-long friends with the person that I just had lunch with the other day. It's like, okay, did my grandmother put those pieces together? You know what I mean? Did you know what I mean?
Yeah. That happened to me when I first started the industry. I was recommended as a script supervisor to do a lot of jobs by this woman, Christina, who I'd never met. And I don't even know how she knew me. She just heard really good things about me. She's like, oh, if you need a good script supervisor, use Michael. She knew of me through somebody. And I had no idea how this woman knew me. And then randomly one day, I was with another friend. And she's like, hey, we're going to go to this party real quick on our way to somewhere else. And I said, okay. And we get there. And the woman's name was Christina. And she told me she was a script supervisor. And I said, oh, I'm a script supervisor too. And she's like, you are? And I said, wait a minute. Are you the Christina that's like giving me all the work? And she's like, are you Michael Colomb? And I was like, yeah. It was just like, just this random like passing of two ships on the night. We just happened to. But that's the.
I want to echo this though. I want to also say that your reputation precedes. You have a great reputation, Michael. Seriously.
Oh my God, you're so sweet.
People speak with you with a lot of sincerity, that they just love being on your sets and working with you. And so you've got people going out there, praising you, probably not because you asked them to, but because they just simply love working with you and want to work with you again. And that's a good thing. It's a really good thing. Yeah.
Well, you're very sweet. I'm definitely going to take that as a soundbite and put it on my website. No, you're so sweet.
Here we go with the bite again.
You and I have yet to work together on set, so we definitely have to do that. And then you can see for
the closest we've ever come. And even like everything's just been socially distanced now, but we've got to make that happen for sure. I mean, I'm excited to get back on set. I'm excited to I've been very blessed and grateful to do socially distanced projects, and and I'm involved in a few right now, which is great. And there's just nothing that can substitute being on set with other people, that creative energy, happy accidents that just happen on set.
I love that. Yeah.
The energy of just, I was in an acting workshop this weekend with an actor from Aladdin. His name is Naveed Nahban. He's amazing. He plays the Sultan, and he's a Middle Eastern actor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, it was so inspirational. We got to watch his self tapes, and it was like a master class. So he talked about his method, and then we got to see how he applied that, and then how he booked the job and all of that stuff. So, but it was more of like an inspirational thing. But I loved how he talked about his greatest moments on set are when he's not on camera, and how the camera is on his co-star, but he's performing, giving them so much to the point that they're able to emote. And then there's these money shots on the final product of them in these beautiful moments. And he gets to know that, no, I was there, you know, giving. And in fact, even more so when the camera's not on me, and he's just so proud of like, oh my God, like I got to help make that happen, so that the praise, you know, kind of goes to them. I mean, it's those things that you can't do socially distanced, you know?
Yeah. And I think there's something about that, because I know I've heard a lot of bigger names don't like to do off-screen acting, but the weird thing is like, if you can give the person who's in their close-up this amazing performance, and then when you edit it, it's just like this whole beautiful thing. It's like that when it's all put together, and it's like, you know, you don't want to substitute an ingredient in a pie just because, you know, you want. It's like when you have the best of everything, it makes this amazing thing. And it's like I've seen it from both sides, and it's like, you know, this is a strange thing. And then we sadly have to wrap the show up. But as a script supervisor, I sometimes have to do a lot of acting off camera with actors, like if we're doing a phone call, or, you know, if we have to pick up a shot or some reason somebody isn't there. I acted with a lot of big names just off camera, and I may not be the most amazing actor, but damn it, I will give them the best that I can, just because I don't want them to be like, you know, I don't want just to have to act to anybody. Because I'm sure you know what that's like when you go into like a casting workshop and you're just like, oh my God, this person's giving me nothing. But then, you know, you're the 40th person they've seen. So I do try to give them something, because I want that performance for them to be good. And there's something about that, I think. So, yeah. And just a sidebar, I've heard amazing things about you too on set. So I'm really excited about working with you, because I know you as just like, we've been friends for so long, but we never worked together.
No.
I mean, we're involved in 2 projects, but even then we were not even in the scenes together. We weren't even on set together. Chudabala.
Yeah, and it's crazy, because like I also believe in timing and like the right project and the right thing, and that has always been the case. You know, it's like, and I also have intuition, like a gut knowing. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna work with you. Like I don't know when or where, but I know it's going to happen, and it always does. Like it always does. Like I.
Well, you have that with me, or just in general?
No, like with you, and then and in general. And in general, though, like, but like, could you imagine 5 years ago that this pandemic would have ever happened, and it would be also the catalyst that you and I would be involved in something, you know, together? And it's honestly, during this time, I'm now on Mimosas with Michael, with you, and it's just, we've all been brought together in such a strange way. Now we're like hungry to get out there creatively and get on a set together. So it's all about.
That big watermelon behind you is making me hungry. I love watermelon.
I've been told that before. That's not the first.
I can't with you. But it's a good way to wrap the show. This is a family show. Oh, okay. Just kidding. I mean, I guess in a way it's really not, because I usually bring people into the studio. We actually have real mimosas, because
I was gonna say I don't have a mimosa. Am I supposed to have a mimosa? I feel like there should be something in my hand. Like, you don't.
My goal is during the social distancing is to grow the show, and then we can have a studio, because I love clinking. Because the one thing I love about the show is there's something fun about, you know, going out on a Sunday and just having a couple of mimosas with friends and catching up, and that's what the show is to me. Yeah. So I'm just doing it social distancing, but at least we're able to use the computer and talk, and then we have a nice podcast, people can hear us. We have a nice video where people can see us. They can see how adorable we are. And they can see our silly animated faces. So, but I'm gonna wrap the show because it's only 30 minutes, so we're probably going into an hour by now. No, we're not. I'm just kidding. But any words of advice for anybody before we wrap it up? Like, what advice would you give to people who are starting out in the industry?
Yeah. Do the work. The work is the work. Be good at what you do. Work on your craft. That is the work. Don't go in that audition room trying to book the job. There's no such thing as booking the job. If you book it, then great. Happy for yourself. That's great. Go celebrate. But go in there. Do your absolute best. Be proud of your work. That's the work. That's the job. If you get into this business to be famous, if you get in this to go book the job, you're doing it wrong. It's an opportunity to perform, be your best, be proud of the work that you do, and then let it go. Let it go.
Let it go. Let it go.
Yes. The floodgates will open up for you. Everything will be in alignment because you're aligned with who you are, not what somebody tells you what you're supposed to do or to be. You can break free at any age. It doesn't matter.
That's right. Well, those are some beautiful words by a beautiful soul. So thank you so much for being on the podcast finally. I can't wait to be on yours, and I can regale you with wonderful nuggets of stuff. Anyways, everybody, Charles Chudabala here with Michael Colomb on Mimosa with Michael. You can find the podcast anywhere you can listen to podcasts. It's on Stitcher, Anchor, we're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and then we are also at mimosaswithmichael.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael.